Hello Dave is brought to you ad-free by my supporters on Patreon. Become a Patreon yourself and get your name listed as a supporter at the end of every video by following the link in the video description.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Hello Dave with Down to Earth Astronomy. It is Monday, and that means it is time to have a look at what's been going on in Elite, and I have some rather exciting news for the channel as well this week. But I start by diving into Elite Dangerous, and I want to start by talking about the whole Canopy integrity thing that's been going on. We finally got a clarification this week from Will, one of the community managers at Frontier, about what's been going on with the integrity on the canopies being halved. Now, before the April update, canopies used to break at 50% integrity. All Frontier's done now is they have realigned the Canopy module to have the same functionality as every other module in the game, so that the Canopy will now break at 0% integrity rather than 50% integrity, and to ensure that they still have the same hit points before they break, they have of course then just halved the hit points. I actually don't know if you could get the canopy damage below the 50% before. I guess you could, but without really having any point in that. But at least, so the end is, well, nothing has really happened. It's just a technical change. So making sure that the canopy is aligned with all the other modules so that it breaks at 0% rather than 50%. So I'd really like to get some clarification on that. Of course, this week, I believe on Wednesday, we got the April update patch 1. Now, we're not going to talk about Frontier and naming of their patches, but so we got the April update, and now we've got the April update patch 1. I guess if you look at the first update not being a patch but an update, then yeah, sure. But anyway, we got patch 1, and I'm not going to dive into every single change they made in the patch. If you want to read that, there's a patch note on the forums. You can find that and read it. But I just want to dive into some of them that I think some of you will find interesting. The FX bug that caused people to drop frame rates quite significantly should have been fixed now. That means all of you guys who have disabled your FX can now go back into your graphics options and re-enable it, and you should see the same performance as you did before the April update. I believe that some people on console might even not have been able to change that option. I'm not actually sure about that, but at least I think I saw a comment from someone somewhere saying that people on some consoles wasn't able to disable this, so they were actually stuck with the poor frame rates that you would get. But it should have been updated now. It should have been fixed, so that should be all good. Then another update that I find quite interesting is that they have now stopped module priorities from being reset during an FSD transition. So that means previously your, I guess it's the power priorities of your module will be reset all the time, really annoying. That has been fixed, so that is now persistent. That's a really welcoming change. Then of course there's the rollback of the drag munition. If you recall, the drag munition was changed so that it would prevent people from boosting as long as you were under the drag munition effect, as well as your pips not having any effect when they're put into engines for those few seconds that the effect lasted. This has been rolled back, so now it's only the pip part of it that you can still boost doing the effect on drag munitions. I think they have said that it's something they're going to revisit. They want to revisit the drag munition. I think it would be really nice to see more engineering options with debuffs to enemy ships rather than just buffs to the ship, to the weapon or module or whatever itself. I mean, if you look at the weapon modifications, a lot of it is just more damage, shoot longer, shoot faster, more ammo, like that kind of thing. And unless you have some special reason to, at the end of the day, what you're going to pick is the one that gives the most damage output for your build. So I think it would be really nice if we could begin to see some options in terms of really effective debuffs to enemy ships. That could be like a boost to something like drag munition, emissive munitions, those kind of things, so that you could go for either just a pure damage spec and just get as much damage on field as you could, or you could go for a more utility spec loadout where you would be able to disable certain modules and stuff like that. We do have various things, but they're often very specialized. Like if you have a railgun, you can do like these that break shield cell banks. But again, that requires that first of all you allocate one weapon slot just to be able to prevent people from shield boosting. That can be useful in some cases, but overall, I would really like to see more options in that field, or maybe make overall some of them could use a little buff, I think, or maybe make them available on a broader variety of weapons. But anyway, it looks like it is something that Frontier is looking into, and again, I personally think it's great that we over the last couple of patches has seen a focus on revisiting old stuff. This has been one of the critique points that I've had about the way Frontier did things in the past, is that they would often like build something new and shiny with a lot of potential and then just abandon it and then move on to something else. But we've definitely seen stuff being revisited, stuff being polished up, and I think that's absolutely great. And I will definitely sing Frontier's praises when they do stuff like that. But you also know that I will also let them know when they mess something up. So, but anyway, this one with the drag munition, that's been rolled back and something they will revisit in the future. And then, this one is good. They fixed an issue that at least a lot of explorers have been bugged with. I know at least there was the galactic circumnavigation trip. I talked to some of those guys when I joined them on the last leg back to the bubble. There was a problem where SRVs would take more damage from impacts when you were in a multiplayer session. I have no idea how they managed to make that bug, but apparently that it was there. It was pretty clear if you were a lot of people in the same instance on a planet and you were driving SRVs, if you just as much as touched a rock, you would take a huge amount of damage to your SRV. That has now been fixed so that you shouldn't take any additional damage when in multiplayer sessions. So that's absolutely wonderful that that's been ironed out. But again, if you want all the details, you can go to the forums. You can find the patch note for April update patch 1, and you can see all the details there. I actually don't know when the next patch, if they're going to do another bug fix or another small update, or if they're just going to wait for the next update. I mean, they said they would do these like 3 or 4 times a year, these smaller updates. So I personally think this April update was larger. There was more in it, and it's done more to the game than I expected it. I would have expected this to be something where I could mention briefly what they would have done in a Hello Dave, and that would pretty much be it. But there's actually been quite a decent amount of content, or not content, but good changes in the patch, I think. But let's move on and let's talk about something that I've been working on for quite a while, actually. The eagle-eyed of you may have noticed this. So I've been for a while back, actually, I did a small poll here on YouTube asking you guys if you'd be interested in if I were to open a merchandise store where you could buy like the standard t-shirts, that kind of stuff. And 66% of you, I think like 2/3 of you, said, yeah, sure, they would be interested. Of course, that would be depending on what and prices and all that stuff. But it's not quite ready, but it's so far along now that I'm comfortable actually announcing it. All the products have been put into the store, at least here for the first, for the launch. And I've, as you could see, ordered like test stuff so I could see it myself. They're like sweatshirts, and I have marks and like various designs, like that one, really like this one. T-shirts with logos on them, and like tote bags as well. There's lots of stuff over there, and I'm gonna make sure to do a proper announcement of it when it goes live. And also, of course, if you are supporting the channel here on Patreon, do keep an eye on the Patreon page. I will post a discount code for people supporting me over there. I'm still working on exactly how that's gonna work, but I think it's just gonna be like a code you use on checkout. That's how I believe it works. But I'll be posting a code over there for the Patreons, so you get a little bit of discount in the merch store if you're supporting me over there, of course. And in other news, of course, Terra X, the player faction, is just I think a week ago-ish, actually turned 1 year. So our player faction has now been in the game for 1 year, and it's expanded quite well. We are currently in 6 systems and still growing. Nicely according to the plans. There are a nice roadmap for what we're gonna do with the faction in the future, And there's a faction planning team which are doing, I mentioned that before, doing an amazing job keeping you guys up to date, posting daily orders, and yeah, things are coming along really nicely, I think. And to celebrate that, tomorrow I'll be hosting another open live stream. I've done these before. And I thought it would be good to go back and do one of like an old favorite, which is the Eagle Swarm. So we're all gonna get, all who want to join at least, we're gonna get Eagles, and we're gonna meet up at Marcy Gateway in our home system in LP. Again, all the information will be posted on Discord. Actually already is. You can go to the news channel and find the information over there. But if you want to join, get on Discord, because we'll use that for communication. You don't have to talk during the live stream if you're not comfortable with that, but at least being able to listen in is going to make everything a lot easier. We're going to try to get as many Eagles together, then we're going to go out, we're going to find some NPCs, and we're going to see how many anacondas we can kill in Eagles. It's usually a ton of fun, and I think this time we might want to go and give ourselves a bit of a challenge. Normally we drop into a Hazardous site, and 2 wings of Eagles, and you absolutely rip a Hazardous site to shreds in mere minutes. So I think we need to give ourselves a little bit of a challenge this time, and I'm considering that we should begin to go and look at conflict zones, or maybe even go and see if we can find a system in lockdown if there's one nearby, and then go and have a look at these pirate activities, because they should be quite the challenge. And a bunch of Eagles might actually just get ripped to shreds in there, but we'll see. I'll see what I can do about giving you guys a challenge, because I'm planning on seeing some Eagles explode, my own included, during that live stream. So that is, of course, on the channel. It will be live streamed here tomorrow, both on YouTube and on Twitch, and it is 7 o'clock in-game time. If you want to join, of course, as I said, head over to Discord. There's a link in the description, and be there a little bit ahead of time, so we have planned to get everything schedule or everything planned out, and make sure everybody's ready for when the live stream starts. But I think that's going to be it for this week. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give a like down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do that. And I'll see you next time. I'll see you guys in space.